Hey, what's up guys, Cliff here once again, and today we are going to be counting down 3 tips and tricks for every support hero that is currently in the game. And since I could not think of any sort of witty intro, I guess we'll just jump right into it. Kicking things off with Ana, let's talk about the Roadhog combo potential. Roadhog is a great hero to get a pick quickly into an engagement, which gives your team a massive advantage in an upcoming teamfight. However, he is not capable of one-shotting most tanks, and heroes like Hanzo and Ana behave quite awkwardly when hooked, which causes him to not always get a clean one-shot on these characters. Generally, the Roadhog will be hooking from behind the safety of your Reinhardt shield, and when you see that, your first instinct should be tossing down a biotic grenade for extra damage on the hooked target to ensure the one-shot, for the healing block on tanks that can't be one-shot even with the additional damage from your grenade, and to get additional healing for your entire front line should the enemies engage despite being one man down. Tip number 2 for Ana, keep an eye out on your own HP. Unlike Zenyatta, whose HP largely consists of regenerating shields, Mercy, who just heals herself naturally, and Lucio, who got his AoE healing that includes himself as well, the only form of sustain Ana has is her biotic grenade. The art is obviously to quickly make decisions on how to use your abilities. Do you want to use it on yourself to make sure you don't die? After all, you can't heal anyone if you're dead. Or do you still have the chance to take cover or disengage? In which case you could use it to keep the front line topped off. Or does the second support on your team realize quickly enough that you need healing, in which case you could rather use the grenade offensively. This is why it's always important to keep an eye out on your surroundings as Ana to make sure you have enough data to make decisions like that. And the third tip for Ana, don't be scared of missing your sleep darts. Too many people wait for the perfect opportunity to use their sleep darts in clutch moments, for example to sleep a McCree pulling a Deadeye, and disregard the potential this ability has in a teamfight. Some of you might think that sleep darting someone for just a second in the heat of battle because you'll get damaged instantly anyway and wake up is worthless, but it can actually give you a massive edge, especially if the team focuses said sleeping target to just burst them down. At the end of the day, you don't have to worry about the clutch Deadeye sleep dart if you don't even survive a Reinhardt, Diva or Winston diving your team, so don't be too greedy with your sleep darts. Let's not waste any time and get straight to Zenyatta. The first tip for Zenyatta is about his healing orb. Ideally, you want to keep it on flankers as much as possible. Your Genjis, Winstons and Divas are most likely the ones who will be operating away from the team, where heroes like Mercy won't be able to reach them without getting slaughtered themselves. Ana could lose line of sight, and Lucio sure as hell does not want to leave his team to support a single flanker. But the kind of comp you're running is also vital in your decision on who to put your healing orb on. If you're running Ana as a main support, then she has to be aware of the fact that she's responsible for the majority of the healing, and you'll try to keep your op on heroes that break LOS. If you're running Mercy, it's essentially the same thing, but with a Lucio it's important to swap healing orbs around more to keep vital parts of your comp alive throughout a teamfight. Especially because in a lot of circumstances flankers will be hard to hit in the middle of battle anyway. The longer your Reinhardt lives to swing around wildly, the more trouble the enemies will have to hit your Genji, just to name a single example. Number 2 for Zen is as simple as it gets. Call out your Discord orbs. This is something that may not seem like a big deal at first, but calling out who your Discord orb is on is essentially like telling your team, hey, that guy's a free kill, smack him. I mean, who doesn't love to get an easy kill if possible? Besides that, it also doesn't sound anywhere near as bossy as when you were to try and shot call in a regular manner on focus hero XY, because you're not directly telling them to attack something as if you're the leader, you're just letting them know that if they felt like attacking this particular target, they might have an easy time killing them. And number 3 is for all these cases where your team either doesn't listen, does not care, or doesn't even join voice chat. In those cases, just toss your Discord on whatever the heck your team is attacking anyway. True, in a perfect world you'd like your team to focus the Zarya first, which is why you Discord her after her shield runs out. But if your team still keeps on smacking the Diva, then that's not helping anyway. So be very quick on the draw with your Discord and swap it all the time according to your team's focus. If you're being pushed by a single enemy and you're sure you can solo them, obviously you'd want to swap and kill them, but sometimes it's more important to kill that Ana that your team is running towards than the Genji that's currently trying to kill you. You might end up dead at the end of the engagement, but as long as your Discord helped your team stabilizing by killing key assets of the enemy comp, it's essentially still a win. And next up on the list is Lucio, featuring the first tip, aim punch. It's honestly really simple. Just keep an eye out on your ammo count to make sure you always have enough to boot people away. Tossing people off of maps is always fun, but it's also very effective for tracking heavy heroes that currently focus your teammates. If you boop a soldier, Diva, or Zarya that's currently trying to kill a teammate, that can help tremendously in keeping your team alive simply by messing up the enemy's aim. But in the same vein, don't just boop without putting any thought into it. Sometimes your boop could push the enemies into a teammate with low HP, sometimes it could help the enemies disengage, and sometimes you could just mess up your Roadhog's hook or your Reinhardt's Earth Shatter by booping unnecessarily, so try not to spam it too much. Number 2 is about helping teammates that overextend overextend. I know that a lot of people have this first impulse of wanting to amp up healing when they see their team being on low HP, but even with amp it up, his healing isn't exactly great. Generally speaking, a player's reaction to taking a ton of damage is trying to disengage. Rather than trying to heal them up, speed boost them away so they can take cover and be healed by the main support on your team. And if you have those types of teammates who just constantly overextend, try to babysit them a bit to make sure they don't just die all the time. There are, however, cases where rather than waiting for them to be half dead, you can support them in their aggressive behavior. A lot of times when a teamfight is won, players will chase after the remaining enemies in an attempt to stagger them. That doesn't always make sense, especially if part of the enemy team is already on their way back, but other times speed boosting your team to get that enemy that tries to disengage quickly and stagger them can be of great benefit. And lastly, number 3, be careful with your aura swaps. This tip is really as obvious as it gets. Don't just randomly swap between healing and speed boost, because hit scan heroes in particular will have a hard time aligning their shots. Opt for either of them to make sure that your entire team has a feeling for their base speed and can adjust their aim accordingly. Generally speaking, when you're on speed boost for the majority of the time, then swap to healing, that's not a big deal. But if you have been on healing the entire time and suddenly go on speed boost, maybe even amping it up, you might as well cause your team to accidentally throw themselves off of the map because you boosted them unexpectedly when they were mid-air. So do be careful with that. And now let's move over to Mercy. First off, be aware of your team's positioning. Not only does that go a massive way in seeing who needs health, but it also allows you to quickly make a decision on who to fly to if you're being pressured by flankers and the like. Divas that fly up, Pharahs that are mid-air anyway, or Annas that have a tendency to be further in the back are great targets for you to jump to if you're in danger. Number 2, sometimes you just gotta let people die. Unlike Lucio, who is great for making up for your team's mistakes, Mercy would only make it worse. If you have a teammate who just constantly overextends and just won't listen, do not fly to him trying to keep him alive, because more often than not, you'll just end up dead yourself in an attempt to heal somebody who was doomed from the start anyway. At the end of the day, just like with Ana, if you're dead, you can't help anybody. And lastly for Mercy, don't wait too long with your revives. If your only goal is trying to get that 3+ revive player of the game, then you might as well lose an engagement that you could have otherwise possibly turned around. When deciding whether you want to single or duo revive or not, it's important to know who died and not just base your decision off of numbers. Sometimes reviving someone who has a clutch ultimate like Mei could make a lot of sense, so do try to keep that in mind and don't be too greedy with your revives. And last on the list, let's just breeze through Symmetra. Honestly, she's not the most complicated hero to play, just to put it lightly, and I classify her more as a defensiveness support hero anyway. But at any rate, this video is called tips for every support, not every support except for Symmetra, so let's get this over with. First off, don't bulk your turrets too much. If you place them too closely next to each other, they'll just get destroyed by 1 or 2 hits from most heroes. Remember that meleeing in particular has a massive range. Your goal is to keep the enemies occupied with your turrets as long as possible, so just space them out a little bit. Number 2, ultimate timing can matter more than you think. Sometimes you just want to wait till shortly before an engagement before putting down your shield generator or teleporter to make sure that flankers can't preemptively destroy them. However, it's just like with so many other things where the position of your ultimate can easily compensate for it being down and available for kill, as long as your enemies have no way of getting there without getting picked off. So make sure that you either have a top-notch spot or you place it down when it matters. And number 3, your team has to be aware of the lack of healing. Sure, there are circumstances where triple support with Symmetra can work out, but generally speaking, you want to have an Ana or Mercy when you run a Symmetra, because they are the only ones who can support a remotely aggressive playstyle on their own. Your team has to be aware when they have to disengage, which is when Symmetra with her fly shield can help out a lot, and your main support has to be aware that they have to turn their head a couple more times to make sure everyone is topped off. The shield generator is a great tool of adding survivability to the team, which makes the main support's job easier, but they still gotta know that they are responsible for the entirety of the healing all on their own. Alright guys, this is me done for the day. Shout out and a huge thanks to my buddy Jua, who's helped me out with scripting this video. Support mains unite, now get out there fellas and heal the ever-living crap out of your teammates. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you wanna see more, and I hope to see you guys next time. Melts don't matter. Melts don't matter, only don't matter if you don't have them. Can we just kill that bitch? The Magna charge! I'm fully aware of how bullshit that was, and I love it. I absolutely love it.